Hi, I'm Catherine McCall, and I'm the author of the book Never Tell, the true story of overcoming a terrifying childhood. Well, guess what? This is Kaolin, and she went through that childhood with me too. This is my sister, and we are speaking to you from Northampton, Massachusetts, where she lives, and I came up from St. Simon's Island, Georgia. So there were a lot of miles to travel, and the two of us have traveled so many miles in so many different ways, in so many kinds of emotional territories.
Very true. Yes.
It's special to be together and to be connected when we're not together. I am so proud of Kaolin, which actually as a child her name was Patricia, and she changed her name. She might want to tell you about that in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But this is her book, talking about race, a workbook about white people fostering racial equality in their lives. Quite a timely book. I'm so proud of her for writing this. And I was thinking on the way up here, while we were listening to Christmas music on the radio, about how when we were children, I had a lot of dolls. I always wanted baby dolls, and I loved playing with them. And even as late as the 5th grade, I had a little doll high chair that I would put next to me at the dining room table and feed my baby doll. I just loved babies. In a way, I was preparing maybe for my adulthood because I have 4 daughters, yes, all born within like 6 years. And now I have 9 grandchildren that I'm blessed with. But Kaolin really wasn't interested in dolls, except one year she really wanted a doll one Christmas.
I remember, yes.
And it was a black baby doll that she wanted.
Yeah.
Isn't that beautiful? When I think of what she's done with her life, she has 2 biracial children. She's always facilitating a process where people can, in a sort of comforting way, enter into awareness of their racial prejudices and work toward healing that and toward more inclusivity in their lives. That's a beautiful thing and a powerful thing, and God knows it is so needed. So I wanted to take the opportunity to see if we could make a video, and Kaolin was up for it too.
Definitely.
We agreed that I could dominate for a while on this video, being that I'm the big sister, you know, sort of. But she has plenty to say too.
Yes. I'm going to add that I had read Never Tell, and it's just a fantastically, beautifully written book about incredible trauma. Our father was bipolar and untreated and an alcoholic, and he had psychotic breaks. So we were subjected to a lot of serious abuse. We were raised in upper class situations, so we were, I believe, very blessed in that respect. Mm-hmm. I know it certainly gave me a great deal of freedom and a great deal of strength to not have to be dealing with serious financial issues or not being able to go to the doctor or not being able to afford clothes every season. I still feel blessed to that day that I was in a family in which those things were non-issues, and I got a great deal of sports. I got out for sports regularly for 8 years and participated in sports and was able to excel in them. And our family had a sense of humor, and we had the kinds of strengths that often is a part of serious family dysfunction, untreated mental illness, and alcoholism. So, but Catherine's book is so beautifully, beautifully written, and I would recommend it highly to anybody who's undergoing any trauma, and I would recommend it for anybody who works in any capacity that has to do with serious incest, rape, alcoholism, and mental illness, either one of the above, and this book is for you. And so, Catherine, I just applaud you in that work, because it's just a magnificent piece of work.
Thank you.
And I have tremendous admiration and respect for you.
And you know, it's sort of interesting that we were each writing our books without knowing that the other was writing a book.
True. Fascinating.
And each of our books came out around the same time.
These two.
So we were very open with each other about our books. Of course, in mine, there were things that I wanted to make sure she knew I had written about. I didn't want her to hear that in a public way before privately being aware. But so it was a lot of love. A lot of fun. A lot
Absolutely.
of love. A lot of fun.
And a wonderful surprise.
Mm-hmm.
And very validating. And in terms of same-sex relationships and sibling relationships and just being women, and in these times, once again, it is totally important for all women viewing this video to have tremendous faith in their abilities, and to write what you need to write without censoring yourself. That is what Catherine and I were doing at the same time without any real knowledge that the other one was doing it, like Catherine said. I also think it's fascinating in terms of being sisters that we were having this parallel experience of owning our authorship and our leadership. And that's another aspect of it that is, for us, we were blessed because for some reason or other we were given those particular strengths and abilities. But we also asserted ourselves and we also made sacrifices in order to do that. And I think that's another aspect of the work that's incredibly important.
Mm-hmm. That's true. You know, while you were talking a little bit ago, there was some kind of music in the background.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
I think it was maybe a phone somewhere.
Yeah.
It sounded sort of eerie.
Oh, that's
like,
you're right.
That's sort of like the Twilight Zone.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
But
that's funny.
you know, it's interesting when you were talking about how fortunate we were to grow up in a family where there was plenty of money, you know,
Yes,
and the culture
Yeah.
that we were exposed to. Our parents were both very talented. Our mother was a beautiful soprano singer. Our grandmother, Annie, remember?
Yes, I
She
do.
had a beautiful
I
soprano
could have
voice.
danced all night. I could have danced all night.
And and I took voice lessons, so I've always loved singing. We have both, before we started talking, we were saying what we wanted to say on the video.
Yes.
We thought, you know, maybe we should bring in here how much Barbra Streisand meant to us.
Very true. Very true. Lifesaver.
Barbra Streisand became popular while I was in high school, and I sang her songs frequently, and so did Kaolin, and as adults
Yes.
we do also.
Yeah.
So we thought we might sing a little something for you, but I don't know if we'll end up doing that.
Well, there are many ways to sing. This is one song, and then we may go on into the next bit of music.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see if there's time. Yeah.
One day we were talking on the phone about doing that, about making
Yes.
videos.
Oh, absolutely.
singing.
Yeah. Yes.
We went through a couple of different songs, and then we thought, you know, maybe we would sing God Bless America
Yes, we did. Yes.
because of all the things that are going on.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Now.
Still a good idea. I still like that idea.
Yeah.
Do you?
I do too.
Okay. So we can do that.
So, you know, there's so much going on about racism now, and there's so much going on about women who've been sexually assaulted. Hashtag Me Too.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That God Bless America may really be the most appropriate thing.
True.
Shall
Do
we?
you want to?
Are you ready? Or do you
Okay,
want to
let's
talk
go.
some more first? Do you have more to say first?
No, I think this is really nice. I think I'd like to wish everybody watching a happy holiday and a safe holiday. And I'd like to also add that my book is actually about white supremacy and that I consider it a cult. So all of us were born into a situation in which we had kind of a cultist experience. And I want to say thank you to all of my fans, frankly, and family members who have been so supportive to Craig Taylor of rarehiphop.com, and to my friend Teresa Glenn, who's helped me with this work for years, and Joycelyn Morris from the National Organization for Women, and also Janine Fondon from Unity First. I really feel like I need to say hello to them. Thank you so, so much. I appreciate so much everybody who's had me visit to lecture. All the sales is going to a second printing with Howard Zinn's praise for it on the cover.
If you don't know who Howard Zinn is,
Yes.
you need to find out who Howard Zinn is.
Yes, just look him up.
Remarkable person and author and historian.
Yes.
People's History of the United States is a really important book to read.
Yes.
And I was so
Yes.
Impressed, not really surprised because I
Yes.
knew how great your book was,
Yeah.
but I just felt such a sense of celebration when he
Yeah.
gave you that blurb.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I was really fortunate. And he's such a humanitarian. So anybody who is not familiar with him, just Google him and you'll see an enormous amount of information about the Zinn Project, education project. And I just want to thank my family. It's been very affirming, very beautiful, such a connector to the depth of all of us, the humanity of all of us. I think that it's unfolding and unfolding and unfolding in this country, that there is a huge population of people who are absolutely not racist. I recommend in the book that we transform the meaning of whiteness. That's really necessary. And I also encourage that people speak about the unspoken deep pain of racism in all of our lives, because it's in all of our lives. And that's really what I'd like to say. And again, I do want to add again, read Catherine's book, I think for not only women, but for men, for partners, lovers, husbands, brothers, uncles of women who are coming out, or maybe have been coming out for a very long time in your own circle, to be sure to read this book, because it'll help you very, very much. In the book, Catherine writes about her husband, Peter McCall, who's just a sterling, wonderful, outstanding example of how to live with, love deeply, respect, be moved, and be a part of the healing process that's so necessary to undergo. And it's not one that any of us choose. It's involuntary. I want to add that about sexual abuse specifically, because even on popular TV shows, I notice women saying, and I'm not even that attractive, or, she's not even that attractive. And I just think it's very important to realize that serious sexual abuse and rape in any situation has nothing to do with attraction. Absolutely nothing. Has nothing to do with what you look like. It's my opinion. Feel like, how big you are, how small you are, whether or not you have big breasts, whether or not you have a big butt, has nothing to do with it. It's a volatile act of incredible hostility and hatred. And I think that this is something that should be emphasized more and more in the media. A serious dialogue about the aggression and the hostility and the hatred of women that goes into rape. So that's really what I'd like to say. Yeah.
Well, I certainly appreciate everything that you're saying.
Yeah.
Particularly about Peter.
Yes. Yeah. Just
it's so unique because Peter's known you since you were a little girl, and you've known him since he was a young boy.
That's right. That's right.
We have such a long history.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, it's just fantastic. Throughout the book, I was constantly impressed. I'd be like, well, how are they going to deal with this now? And how are you going to deal with this now? And how are you going to deal with this now? Because the layers and layers of recognition, once you've been violated, it goes on and on. It's an ongoing process. It just is not a process that ends. So that the partners, to anybody involved in this process, the commitment is just tremendous. And the flexibility, I think, and the patience. And it has to be very painful. I've been with people who are survivors myself, and it's an extremely painful process. Loving a survivor is really painful. Most especially when your family or your situation has not had that in their lives.
Yeah.
And this is something I had to become more sensitized to the older I got, is, well, not everybody has experienced that. So how difficult I remember my husband I married when I was 20. And I remember for him, he had come from Vietnam. He was a Vietnam veteran. And he thought he had been through it all. But he didn't know the half of it. He didn't know what it was like to love a person who's a survivor.
So marry into our family.
Or marrying into our family. And so he had a lot to learn, and he remained a lifelong friend to me throughout my processing, and also had that particular knack or gift, or else we had that knack for picking out partners who have this particular ability and gift to be so incredibly benevolent and loving and observant, and yet not get in the way or not try to diminish the serious ongoing pain of being a survivor. One woman had said to me, who was shocked, and she was a woman of color, so she's experienced racism all the time in every particular way. And she looked at me once, she goes, I would never think that you're a survivor. And how did you do it? How did you get through that? And I said, well, how do you get through racism? You don't know anything else. You don't, for me, this is my answer. And everyone's answer can be quite different, and will be. But for me, it's like, I don't know anything else. But I knew that it was wrong. So I knew it would not be repeated. It would not be in my life. It would have nothing to do with my future. That I knew. So, and it hasn't. And it hasn't in my children's lives. So I think that you live with who you are and what you experience, like we all are doing, and then you make certain decisions based upon what your hopes are and your aspirations for yourself. But I admire the men and the women who are partners to any woman or any man in any capacity who's there for the long haul, for their life.
Actually, that's one reason I wrote my memoir.
Yes.
Originally, I thought I would write it as a novel.
Oh.
And then as I was into it more and more, and having been a family therapist for decades, I felt very aware that there aren't stories in the media about healing from those kinds of things. Well, about having PTSD and then healing from those kinds of things in the context of a monogamous marriage.
Yes, I see,
And so I really felt compelled to share. And Peter did also. I mean, we felt together that if anybody can learn anything from our experience that will help them, we will do that. That wasn't an easy choice to make because of our children.
Yes.
You know, there's a certain amount of privacy that you'd like to be able to have for your family.
Right.
Or I'll change the pronoun that I would have liked to have had.
Yes.
But this was a very spiritual thing. It just felt like the right thing to do. This is our story, part of our story.
Yes.
And hopefully it's helped many people. I was amazed when it got on the bestseller list in the UK.
Yes.
And being invited over to be on the judges panel for the United Kingdom Child Sexual Abuse People's Tribunal. And what an honor it was to be able to be present to some of the survivors there and how hard they've been working, and to try to create something that would, with my colleagues, that would promote their healing.
Yes.
So in the video, I just want to say hi to those folks over in the UK.
Yeah, wonderful.
And
Absolutely.
that I think of you often, and I hope that you're doing well.
Another thing I'd like to add is, and that is that every person who's experienced severe abuse, you go through your process your own particular way.
Yeah.
So you pay attention to whatever you're paying attention to, but without turning over your own authenticity and your own timing. So much is coming out now that's so valuable and so important, and things are really changing. And just remember to take ownership of yourself as much as you're able to, whenever you're able to. And your solution for that particular problem in your life is your own solution. It's not somebody else's. So there's no particular way to go through this process.
And everyone has their own timing.
Everybody has their own timing and also their own solutions.
Yeah.
So I think just on another note is the issues surrounding mental illness in the culture. which are now being highlighted for obvious reasons. I would like to say to the mentally ill population that I know, who's worked on themselves and worked in therapy or is on meds, I tremendously empathize with the fact that we have several leaders who are severely mentally ill and not being treated. And I empathize with the fact that people are randomly, and I think carelessly, referring to it as if it's some kind of demonic aspect of the personality, when in fact it's a clinical, biological problem. And the difference in terms of how this problem gets addressed, as you see very different samples of how it gets addressed. Some people go into therapy, some people work very hard for their meds, some people don't do it at all, some people could care less and will not be doing it. So I just want to say a note of empathy out to those people who I know have been absolutely vigilant in their self-care, work very hard, have to sacrifice for it, have suffered a great deal over it, and have triumphed over the denial that goes with severe mental illness, and are really conquering it for the benefit of themselves and their families and their loved ones. And it takes enormous courage, and I just wanted to put that out there because there's so much out there right now where it's being attacked, and you know, I think it's very sad and very hurtful.
Well,
Yes.
we probably have talked long enough, I would think.
Yeah.
I'd go through my list of people to be thankful for too,
Yes.
but instead, I think we'll close with singing.
Okay, great, good.
And
All
we're
right.
going to do God Bless America.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
My sister's voice is a lot stronger than mine. Bye.